That's right. Greetings, fellow Amblinites. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Since Steven Spielberg doesn't do audio commentary on his own work, we thought we'd do it for him. After all he's done for us, it's the least we could do for him. It's the penultimate installment before we hit the end of Spielberg's massive film catalog. An event so exciting, it'll have you dancing in the streets. Featuring films guaranteed to get glowing reviews in the post. With any luck, you'll love our selections as much as Marie Schrader loves the color purple. Let's walk you down the long and winding path Amblin set us down upon with Spielberg Month. Okay. Wow. I can't get this right to save my life, Dragon. I'm sorry.
Just pedal the bike, would you? Let's go on.
Okay. Anyways, Dragon, so, yeah, this was an interesting watch, no?
Yeah.
All right, Amblin, folks. We're talking Amblin. We're talking the 1968 directorial short film by a very young and up-and-coming Mr. Steven Spielberg. Basically, Dragon on his sneaking into the Universal lot days, if I'm getting that right.
Yeah, this is like after he started doing that. Yeah.
And Dragon, this film is such a trip because it's obviously amateurish and it feels like a college film and it's very grainy and there's a lot of like, oh, look at me, I'm so artsy fartsy. But Dragon, there's also hints of Spielberg magic just like sprinkled throughout like certain shots where it's like, ooh, you know what I mean? It's like for a directorial debut, that's not even a feature film, and that's this early on into his into his run. Like this is almost a decade before Jaws. It's 8 years before Jaws, if my math is right there.
Let's see, Jaws was 70. I think it was
75, I think, right?
No, it was 75. Yeah, so it's
yeah. So, I don't know, like, obviously Jaws is, like, the way bigger milestone here, but, this is very interesting, and it's very experimental. It's 1968, so it's incredibly of its time. This was the age that my dad, this was literally the year that my dad turned 18, I believe. And so, Dragon, this movie means a lot to me. This short means a lot to me just as far as, I don't know. We'll get into it, but I would be shocked if this resonated with you more than it resonated with me, because there's some personal stuff in this one that I don't know. I think the young up and coming like kind of like bright head in the cloud Spielberg with a little bit of like I love the dark melancholy ending. I don't know, Dragon. I'm kind of glowing about this one. I find it hard to articulate right away. This will be an interesting discussion for sure. And by the way, Dragon, before I hand it over to you really quick, I just want to issue a disclaimer here, folks. Normally on these Spielberg Month things, we're talking like at least 2-hour podcasts. So it's like, we're totally fine if you don't, if you don't watch the movie along with us. We hope to keep the steady conversation. Dragon, I want to emphasize, like, we'll try our best. But this movie is almost all visual. Like it's pretty much it pretty much could be classified as a music video in some senses. So, folks, I very much would recommend. I have a convenient, handy YouTube link, no strings attached. It's right there for free in the video description. So, just like I would thoroughly advise you to just click that link, mute the audio, and maybe watch the film first. It's only 25 minutes, and then come back and watch this.
Well, even so, there's no dialogue in the movie, so you're only missing the music. But I mean,
you're only missing the music, right? Maybe have the music in the video playing like a very low volume, so you're still kind of getting the music, but you're getting us over the music. I don't know. Do whatever you want. Dragon, what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you. So, Amblin. This is the Spielberg film that started it all. Again, eerily the shortest Spielberg film ever. We're going to be talking about. Yeah, this is early Spielberg's take on the indie movie. It feels like, in many respects, one could argue, because I mean, I can't really think of many before Spielberg. This is like the birth of like what has now become the cliche indie movie. And this is the birth of this back before it was cliche. The whole like
Uh, the birth of like
hitchhiker.
Sundance movie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Kind of the Sundance indie movie. Like, okay, we're going on a road trip because we don't have any money for sets, and we have a guy with a
Or I'm sorry,
guitar.
as I like to call them, Dragon. This is a term I've been using lately that I kind of like the Criterion crowd.
Would this really be a criterion like a comparison though?
No, I guess not. I guess the Criterion crowd. I guess like the indie hipsters and the Criterion crowd. It's kind of like goths and emos. It's like they're cut from the same cloth, but there's a little bit of a difference, anyways.
Anyway, so seriously, I think comparatively to all the other Spielberg films that came later, of course, and again, it's a heck of an unfair comparison when you kind of weigh them. But obviously, especially by this point, Spielberg month, a little underwhelming, but I think what comes through is that it's the spark, not the flame.
Totally.
That's the make. Basically, you see the makings of a good director working with kind of a stylistic limitation by choice. Of like, okay, I can't do the big movies. I want basically it's Spielberg working on a Kevin Smith budget, but like moving the camera though. And yeah, this is basically you can see how this leads to a guy. Basically the idea that Spielberg's kind of working with limitations here, and this leads into one of the great things within his directing style. Like the Spielberg on the set, which is a guy thinking his way out of problems creatively on set and during the productions. See, I
Yeah.
think I think a lot of that kind of comes through with this. The movie absolutely lives up to its namesake. Amblin. If anyone's wondering why the heck Amblin's called Amblin, Amblin apparently, best defined, is it's like a leisurely journey. It's kind of like a walk. Essentially, it's kind of like taking your time, kind of an even pace. That's what Amblin is.
Meandering, if you will.
What? Yeah, meandering. Yeah,
Meandering.
yeah, sure, yeah. Also, we should note too what the well, I guess we'll save it for the I'll save it for the disclaimer. So let me get into some background.
Okay.
So, background, it's 68. You got a young aspiring filmmaker, had like early in his youth, made home movies of like essentially using like clips of war movies and just kind of filled in the blanks with he and his family and stuff. He constantly snuck onto the Universal lot during the old Universal tour, and basically he was never let into USC officially. So what he did is he kind of learned the business of filmmaking from the film studio under their noses with Universal. So he was like on the set, learned the tricks of the trade from the professionals. Like he would be on the set with Hitchcock, man.
That's
Hitchcock didn't allow him on that set, but he was there. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, what happens is Spielberg became so enamored with it. He was looking to become a director, and he just kind of he was looking to impress and kind of officially get Universal's attention. So what he did is like, okay, I want to officially be there instead of like sneaking in there, kind of get my own office, but by faking my name on the door. I want to actually be there. So what I'm going to do is he kind of put on this by the bootstraps production. He basically okay, he kind of found funding from his producer Dennis Hoffman, I believe his name was, and this guy basically he cut a deal with Spielberg. The deal was okay, you're going to direct this for free. I'm going to put in 10,000 of the $15,000 budget, and apparently the guy really liked the number 10 because he then. This sounds suspect to me, but I guess it happened. I mainly with the TV side of Spielberg's 7-year contract. The guy basically said, "Hey, after this, anytime I send you a screenplay within the next 10 years, you have to do it."
Oh dear.
Yeah, so basically, he didn't really do a lot of that, though. If anything, it was
Oh,
probably TV related stuff, which probably is what happened ultimately when he got the Universal gig. So, point being, so it's kind of the deal Spielberg struck to make it happen. He wrote the script in a day. He kind of literally is so by the bootstraps. He found the male lead of the film in a library.
oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like Ed Wood seeing finding the dentist. Like well the chiropractor, not the dentist. Find the chiropractor to play Bela Lugosi. After he passed in that movie. So big thing. One of Spielberg's lifelong collaborators. The great Alan Davio. This is the first collaboration with that guy.
Yeah, I saw his name in the credits, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's crazy that it goes back that far."
predates some of the other lifers with Spielberg.
Predates
Predates,
Jazzy Johnny Williams.
yeah, predates John. Like one of the. I don't know. I'm going to assume John Williams was not on Duel, but basically Jaws onwards. When Spielberg's officially on the big screen, it's John Williams. With those very, very few, like you can count them on one hand, exceptions. But just the fact, you have like your guys, like your Frank Marshalls, you got let's see, the Frank Marshalls, the Michael Kahns, the Janusz Kaminskis, like predates all of them.
Right.
Davio, we miss him. We miss him. That man knew how to make things look pretty, especially the color purple. But we're gonna move on from there. So, Jerry Lewis actually did a little bit of film teaching back in the day. He very impressed with this film. Always kind of lauded it. Like he was blown away by it. And I think the reason a lot of people are blown away by this, Tiki, is we take it for granted these days. But essentially, this movie, simplistic as it kind of is looking at it now, it was quite the breakthrough. Like it's basically the montage and basically the montage and the way that we move the camera and everything. This is like a thing it's commonplace in the industry now, but in '68, this is revolutionary. Like, yeah, we can do montage. At least we can point the camera in all sorts of different ways, and they were not thinking of these terms in '68. And again, this is like right on the curve of the '70s redefining film as we knew it. Again, Spielberg, along with his pals, the new Hollywood. What is it? The new Hollywood Renaissance? Just the new Hollywood.
It's just the new Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah, the new Hollywood crowd, like when they redefined everything, Spielberg is kind of leading the charge in that a little bit. So yeah, it was again, it was quite the coup, and the big thing, big happy ending to our little Amblin journey here is. So more impressed was the great Sid Sheinberg. So actually is like the longest Spielberg collaborator. Sid Sheinberg, of course, the producer extraordinaire, basically gave Spielberg all the big breaks, particularly Jaws and Schindler's List, if I recall. And, he basically, he was so impressed with this. He was the president of Universal Television at the time. And he said, hey, listen, I really like what you did. I'm going to give you a 7-year contract to direct TV stuff, which is like the youngest ever a director was ever given a contract like that at Universal. Very huge, very special. Like they loved him over there already. Like, look at this little wonderkin sneaking on set. Isn't he cute? Let's give him a movie. They did that, and yeah, that kind of led to Duel, which then led, if I recall, I believe it led to Duel, which then directly led to Jaws. So basically, it's like, hey, I love it. What? Oh, and Sugarland. Yes, right. Sorry, Sugarland. Yeah. Was Sugarland theatrical?
I'm not sure.
That's the thing, because I wonder if I'm trying to look at the pattern here, because I wonder if it was Sugarland.
I know it predates Jaws.
Well, you're right about. I know now you mentioned Sugarland. Sugarland, Duel, then Jaws. I'm just trying to remember if it's. If Sugarland was in theaters or not, because it makes sense if it was TV. Just given that trajectory of, again, like probably going from the TV contract to eventually Jaws after that contract, because 7 years, so 78 to it's like a year before Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, and also the big thing Sheinberg said to convince Spielberg was the famous, I will support you in your not just your successes but your failures, which he did, and it was really lovely. Miss Sid Sheinberg too. I believe he is no longer with us. And yeah, of course he goes on. Spielberg, you believe it or not, he builds a little company, and what does he call that company?
Amblin.
And it's the name of some of our favorite shows.
Indeed.
The company behind some of our favorite shows. Like
and one of the most memorable logos in studio history, I would say.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest logos ever, let's be honest. It's so cool.
It's especially cool when you see it at the end of cartoons, because you're like, oh my god, the guy who made E.T. also makes cartoons!
Yeah.
Anyways. Alright, so enough geeking out over the Amblin logo, Dragon. Give him the lethal weapon treatment.
Yes, folks. So, it's so weird now that Danny Glover's not around for the... Anyway, so, yes, so folks, we usually, we advise you, however you're watching, to get it to the 0-0 mark, and you can watch along with us, and you absolutely have the means to watch along with us in this case. Now, again, this is just speaking now, and we're recording this years in the future. I don't know if that video is still going to be around, so...
that's true, yeah.
So however you're watching this, folks, whether you're the ultimate Spielberg fan, you got all the DVDs, including Amblin, that, or you've rented it, or however you're watching it, or if you just you remember it really, really super well. Just again, we'll be going in a linear fashion, mainly talking about visuals, so bear with us. I will warn you though, The people doing the rental are probably in for the best show here because we are using the cruddy like VHS beat up version of it. Which so yeah, just so you know, for
I think it adds to the charm, though. We'll talk about that.
it does, but again, let's not lean too heavy into like it was meant to look like. Well, it kind of looked like this is someone taping it on VHS, and then,
Right.
but yeah, now it's been completely remastered and everything. It looks great. I mean, if you saw the clips of it in that Spielberg documentary, it looked amazing.
I should see it remastered.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like the Davio clips, like the Davio cinematography comes through in that. Just to warn you folks, just so you know, like, man, the Spielberg worked really rough. It was rough, but not that rough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so again, folks, when Tiki says it's like Lethal Weapons, 1, 2, 3, go. When he says go, this guy over here in this amorphous space, when he says go, you're gonna hit the button and we're gonna start.
All right, let's do it. Amblin in 1, 2, 3, go! All right, the shortest commentary ever.
Yeah.
If nothing says film school project, it's that little countdown thing right there.
Love the countdown. Who doesn't love the countdown?
Okay, so right away we're getting. I think one of the most impressive things about this is just kind of like the naturalistic photography, which I assume was basically just all the desert landscape that was in his like literal backyard of Southern California, right?
Yeah, I believe they. Well, I know that it's taken place in the Mojave Desert, which I think is in Southern California, isn't it?
No, it is not. That's Arizona.
Oh, okay. Well, the point being, yeah, you're right. Though they did shoot in Southern California, though. But you're right. Yeah, they're trying to make it look like the Mojave Desert, but it's Southern California.
I think they do a solid job.
Yeah, I think it looks good. So yeah, a lot of landscape shots here, and again, a lot of that Davio lighting, man. Look at it; it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a couple shots. There's like 3 or 4 shots total in the movie that really stand out to me as like, oh man, there's the stepping stones right there.
Yep.
Of course, we're getting just the credits right now. The big sunrise.
Oh, you saw Anne Spielberg's name pop up. That's Spielberg's sister who helped him out, and she also was one of the writers on Big years later.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if she had rewrites or if she was like ghostwriting. She was involved in Big, and she had like good writing contributions from what I recall. I can't recall, but they are right now. But they were good, I'm sure.
And music by Michael Lloyd.
Yeah.
Not Jazzy Johnny Williams.
No.
Okay, so the theme song performed by October Country. What do you think of the music just in general? Because I think that's the first thing we should kind of kick off this conversation on. Is just the fact that, by all intents and purposes, like this could be looked at as a music video, Dragon. It really could.
I mean, sure. I mean, I think if the music were a little more bombastic, then absolutely a music video. It's just kind of more music of the times. It doesn't really feel like something really super eye catchy. But yeah, it fits.
I don't know. For me, it definitely casts a vibe. It definitely kind of like gives the film an atmosphere.
Okay, so here's something we got to talk about right now. So this is what I love about what he did with this movie here, with the short film, is that it's Spielberg again working with limitations, and this is like where Spielberg we're channeling his strength even early on, which is proving that the whole purpose of this movie is to prove to Universal this Spielberg kid knows how to point the camera. Like he's going for all these inventive shots that we've never really seen before. Like we're from a distance looking at the highway, and think about it. The most challenging thing with this is how many times and how many different ways can you shoot this stupid highway?
Yeah, totally.
That's the biggest challenge. That's what Spielberg's doing. Like no shot of the highway is necessarily just like the same old shot. He's trying to kind of spice it up a little each time. And they're also getting some montage cuts here, which again, commonplace today. Like
these montage cuts, man, it's very much the prototypical Spielberg comedic montage, Dragon. It really is, and it's crazy to see it like so finely tuned so early on.
Yeah, I'm saying like most comedy cuts, you don't really have it like that until something like this comes along.
There's one in the middle of the movie, the one where the two of them are both hitchhiking and they're kind of pulling like little Better Call Saul-esque schemes.
Oh, I know, that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
we're kind of warming up to that right now. So again, essentially this is kind of a quasi love story. It's kind of it's a brief affair, but it's a love.
It's
story.
A boy meet girl, boy loses girl story, Dragon.
Yeah, with an indie flair.
Yeah, this is the first landmark shot right here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, this is basically this movie's like an indie movie before we had a name for it.
Yeah, totally. That shot of them across the road and just the perspective of the road and the the divide between the two of them. So the actress playing this girl, Dragon, do you know her name off the top of your head?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay, well, I do know that she was cast from the Pasadena Playhouse, which is that is one of the most prestigious theater groups in LA. So this girl, it's kind of interesting where, I'm sure she wasn't like globally famous, but as far as the local LA theater scene goes, Dragon, the Pasadena Playhouse, like that's a big name. That's a big draw. I would say it's probably one of the top 5 theaters in LA from what I know. So it's really interesting because here you have this woman who's very refined in her craft, and then this guy who, he was literally recruited, Dragon, how?
Just in the library.
From a library, yeah. So
yeah,
it's
I saw him in a library. Like, hey, you want to be in my movie? Sure.
And I really think that speaks a lot to, like, we're kind of talking over a lot of this initial meet cute stuff, but I really think that speaks a lot to the performance. It's
technically a literal meat cute, because I think is that meat in his mouth or what? Like something.
It is meat cute. Yes. Oh God.
No, so we have olives here. We have the black olives. At least I think they're olives. I gotta admit though, I think some of this is Spielberg kind of feeling his oats and just kind of being silly for maybe a hair.
The black olives, I think, is the worst scene in the film for me.
I mean, again, like initially, it's okay. It's like they're in the few black olives and they're spitting them out, but we don't need to spend that much time.
It goes on way too long, and I don't really get the point of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like okay, like they're walking along, they do, and she does it too. There you go. We should end the scene, but like no, they're doing like a little contest. Like that's
Yeah, I don't get it.
The point being, we have like
it's honestly the one scene in the film that I can actually say I don't get. Everything else I can pretty much vibe with.
I was looking at it kind of like an eye chart, like what? I mean, I saw the initial like start there. It was like we're still. Anyway, so the basically we're dwelling on here is the camaraderie and the friendly traveler. That's essentially
right.
Yeah. All this is on the highlight is already past like when they were building up to this scene. Because remember, the camera was moving for a large portion of this film in every shot, which is quite impressive. I like that. Spielberg's transition work really shines in this.
Oh, there's definitely a few really great transitions that we'll get into for sure.
I mean, the best ones are going to come later, but I'm saying earlier, how like when you're kind of moving with the moving cameras, we're kind of going through our sets. Again, there are subtle transitions, and then we have some major ones.
Definitely.
Yeah. This is all too. What are we doing?
This is a little gratuitous.
It's only 26 minutes. How do we spend that?
Spit those olives. I feel like this could turn into a riff tracks at this point.
Feinberg doesn't want to see this, Spielberg.
Oh God! Now we're shading young Spielberg retroactively.
Steve, if George Lucas is in the room, you're like, Stephen, I don't really.
Stephen, you might have gone a little far in some places.
Yeah, Steve, maybe just maybe 2 minutes of the olives, maybe not. Also, maybe a few more reverse shots. I'm just throwing that in there. Anyway, so yes, we're walking down.
So this is like one of the examples where I think the graininess of the VHS actually kind of plays with the surrealist kind of, washed out vibe of the film, and I think honestly kind of adds something. Like, don't get me wrong, I am very curious to actually rent this and see the HD version, Dragon, because by all intents and purposes, it seems like it would be a completely different experience.
It does look rather impressive. I mean, I only saw like one, maybe 2 scenes from it in the HD version, which look really impressive.
Oh no, an attacking car!
Yeah, so again, basically what we're showing here are the parallels.
That's basically proto-duel right there.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
That one shot.
Think about it. Okay, if I recall, you've seen. I did not. Freewheeling Express. It's a young couple in that, right? I'm saying, so you have you have like the young couple, and you have the car, which again,
right.
You have then that duel will basically.
What's in the briefcase, Dragon?
Yep.
What's in the briefcase? Is it Marcellus Wallace's soul?
What's in the guitar case?
I know. I'm making a Pulp Fiction joke, but yeah, what's in the guitar case?
Anyway, what's the anyway, Russ, Yeah, of course, Duel's going to lead to Jaws, and maybe who knows what it now makes me want to go through the Spielberg catalog and see if there's like almost like a Pixar Easter egg of what's to come next.
Oh my god!
I never thought about it. Like, oh yeah, man, I always knew Duel led to Jaws, but I never thought about the other stuff. Like, yeah, there's kind of a little bit of Sugarland in there. Anyway, so the point being, we're seeing the perils of the hitchhiker, which of course car could kill you if you're not careful, especially if you're walking in the middle of the highway.
And Dragon, here we enter the most 1968 scene of the film.
Well, Timmy, I want to highlight.
It is a stoner. I apologize.
Right. Regardless, I want to highlight. Well, speaking of lighting, I love the shadow work, and I love the drain pipe kind of like setting. I love how it looks like a
that shot right there is fucking gorgeous, dude.
Look at that, man.
That is it's legitimately like a professional Spielberg shot that you would see in one of his blockbusters, you know?
Yeah, so I love that he's basically, again, he's working, it's almost like a negative space thing in art where you're working with the light versus the darkness. You're working with, like, the limitation at play here. We're okay, how can I jazz up what they're doing? Well, I'm going to take them out of the hot 105-degree weather. Yeah, when they were shooting this, it was like 105
Oh, no. Oh, God.
So, like, hey, let's give them some shade. And doing so, like, we did this, and again, we're kind of very much, again, the point, I like that this isn't just frivolity here. We're doing this because we're hitting that, this guy is a square and she is not. But, I mean, we don't know that we're being thrown off the scent that this guy's a square.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Of course, will basically be the big turning point for them by the end of things. So a little foreshadow. Okay.
Foreshadow.
Uh-huh. Yeah. In this case, a two shadow.
And of course, we just watched The Color Purple, which had some really brief but very effective silhouette work.
Yes. Also, The Color Purple.
Yes, Dragon, The Color Purple did have The Color Purple in it.
Yeah.
Very astute observation there.
Says the man who can't read. Anyway.
So, I mean, you would think that I'd be all over the smoke and weed scene, but honestly, much like the olives, I'm like, all right, I get the point. Like,
again, this is the young Spielberg feeling. Again,
yeah.
This is Spielberg trying to be of the times, and like, well, we're coming out of the 60s.
Oh, it is very of the times, yeah.
I think it's really just like, who knows how long this is going to be around, so let's just...
1967 was like the peak of smoking weed, so...
And again, then we're going to have to, now they're going to be a little loopy.
So what do you make of this shot, Dragon? Because I always, the few times I watched this, I always kind of found him, like, wandering out of the cave, or the drain pipe, or whatever, and just kind of, like, leaving her behind for a minute. Like, I always kind of thought that was a little bit of a foreshadow of, like, kind of like the first little, like, subtle, like, okay, like, there's going to be a little bit of a separation there, even if it's momentarily.
I didn't read it that way, but that's not a bad read on the situation. I just thought it was like kind of I think it was like seeing the world in a new way while you're kind of.
That's fair too. That's fair.
Like, literally,
I'm just saying they do have that one reaction shot from her as he gets up.
I just think we went from the mundane to kind of a sweeping pullback of look at the wide. It's like the desert.
No, I can see it. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, a big parallel I had in this movie is you can get to
see... And here comes the Beatles' magical mystery to... I'm sorry, go ahead.
You really get to see Spielberg's love, I think, deep down in this movie in two specific places for David Lean. He loves, Lawrence of Arabia. It's one of, if not Spielberg's favorite movie. So you get to see, like, kind of desert shots within kind of the mundanity of, like, it's just kind of like Southern California.
Greg, what are they doing in the scene? I've watched the scene like 3 times. What the fuck are they doing in the scene? Are they just, like, robbing the guitar case?
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I... That's another thing with this scene, too, is that I think this plays a lot better after you've seen it, because the idea I read it as is that he doesn't, he's had like a moment where he kind of is looking like a cool guy with her, and he doesn't want them, like they're like hippies who are a little touchy here, like, hey man, I want to see the guitar, and of course there's no guitar in there, so he doesn't want to get it out. That's why he's like being all. For me, the first time I saw it, I was thinking, oh, these guys just really like aggressively grabbing. They're going to like hit the guitar. But I mean, the only thing, maybe that's the case, but I still think it's really because there's no guitar in there. That's why he's nervous, and that kind of leads him to getting kicked out of the thing.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I don't know if I assume they get kicked out, but then again, that's kind of the dark read I have when I was like, hey man, you won't let us open the guitar? Get out of my car.
No guitar, out the car.
Yeah. That's something for you, yeah.
Oh God!
Okay, so now we have some of the kind of the slip in the.
This is like classic like Vince Gilligan montage.
Yeah, well, so the idea here is this is kind of a hit. Again, we get to see the hitchhiker culture at play here. Where okay, you're traveling with a girl, like she's going to be your ticket to a ride, but you got to hide. And unfortunately, he picked the wrong time to use the bathroom.
Right.
Costing him a ride, like he's got to get all the way there. So yeah, this is the idea. He has to hide so they can get a ride. And then it's a question if they're going to stick around. Well, like, hey, wait a minute, this guy wasn't part of the deal. I'm out of here. It's like, hey, man, where were you? We just, yeah. I think it's like some comedy.
I love the freeze frames in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's unique to Spielberg. Like, you don't really see, like, it's an amateur.
There's a really great shot.
Okay, this is probably the most impressive shot.
Now, again, this looks so much better in the HD version. This is the
I'm sure it does. Yeah, I'm sure it does.
I saw this in the first shot of the movie, so this is the other really impressive shot where he's just running through that mirror.
That is just I mean, that shot is like fucking movie magic right there, man. How do you come up with something like that?
That's what I'm saying. You're seeing Spielberg really thinking outside the box, which is why, man, we got to give this guy a movie with a shark.
Right.
Yeah, give him a movie with a shark in it. Give him some barrels, too. Let's see where we go with that.
Lots of barrels. More barrels than sharks.
Yeah. And we're back to the silhouette as we're entering kind of darkness and intimacy. Basically, darkness equals intimacy in the film. That's kind of where we're kind of saying thematically. And we know Spielberg loves the themes when he's doing this sort of stuff.
Sure.
Also, I'd like to think pre-daddy issues.
Yeah, I was going to say, ironically enough, this movie doesn't really have any daddy issues.
Because I believe it predates. I don't know when Spielberg's parents got divorced. I think this might be before. I'm not sure.
I just kind of assumed it was when he was young.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if it was when Spielberg was like 14, 16, or 18 when that happened.
Okay.
I imagine probably 16. Cause I know it's like when Frank Abagnale, when Catch Me If You Can, Frank Abagnale's divorce was 16. So I forget if that was like a direct parallel or not. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong. I could just be purely thinking of Catch Me If You Can in terms of what year it was, like how old he was. I'm not sure. It could have been an 8-year-old kid. All I know is, regardless, it's not really present, but you could always, why is she on the road? Maybe she has daddy issues.
Oh my God. There we go.
We don't know. We don't know her backstory. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's not.
Oh God.
Okay. Here's a fun fact for you. Ready for this?
Yeah.
So technically, this movie is rated R, and one of the very few rated R films that Spielberg's ever done.
Specifically because of the nudity.
Well, that's the thing. It's only side boob. There's no nudity.
Oh God.
But that's the thing. Think about it. That, and I imagine maybe the drug use. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. But it was one of those things like how Psycho.
I mean, I was just going to comment, Dragon, that as someone who's not usually a fan of sex scenes, this is like incredibly tastefully done.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. Like we're blocking her with the little like grass.
It's much more about the emotional intimacy than it is about the physical intimacy.
Agreed. But it's like that thing in the 60s. 60s were very overly like sensitive about that sort of thing. Where like Psycho is an R-rated movie, even though it is far from it. Yeah. And also, you kind of Spielberg kind of eventually the man who's going to change the rating system, so it's kind of ironic.
Right.
Yep.
So coming up is one of my favorite transitions.
Oh yeah, the zipper thing. Yeah, the zipper.
Yeah.
Now, two things with the zipper. One, thematic, because again, his secrets and like what he's withholding inside is inside the zipper of that case. So again, it's like he's hiding something. He's protective of like the secret.
Exactly. Right.
But also, phenomenal transition between the zipper to the road.
Whoop.
It's great. Yeah.
So right away, Spielberg's like really nailing the romance, I think.
Yeah, he is.
Literally without any dialogue, we don't even know these people's names.
Yeah. Just man and woman, Adam and Eve, whatever you want. Ricky and Lucy, who knows?
Oh God.
Yeah, man, it was a great shot. It also looks like the median of the road anyway, so it's like
yeah. There we go. Nice transition.
Love it. And then we're getting some good montage work coming up here as well. Now, something that again, because it's pretty much it's kind of interesting. Spielberg's like first movie is like a silent movie, which again is probably what he had worked on
Very
as a
much
kid.
so, yeah.
I imagine.
If you take out the lyrics to the songs.
Yeah, yeah. And also, it's kind of a thing where sometimes you'd have like the piano music and when a silent film would play. So it's kind
Uh-huh.
of like. Point being though, again, it's kind of an upgrade from the a subtle upgrade, slowly but surely upgrade from like the Super 8 kind of stuff he'd probably do as a kid. And here's the montage of the kind of the slipping.
Yeah, I'm sure you love the one where he's passed down on the side of the road. Yeah,
him
yeah.
holding her in the arms and they're like falling down and everything. The
UCLA, yeah. And then that is again like that is like a mad scientist transition there, where it's like the camera zooms from the car passing him, and then just like jump cut to him in the car.
Mm-hmm. Impressive for sure. Oh yeah. And also, again, the UCLA thing is kind of a meta. Like, you guys didn't want me? Well, look.
God.
Yeah. Look at me now. Say hello, George. Hello, Stephen.
Jesus. Hello, Stephen. I'm also going to be making a car movie soon.
Hey, we should use one of the guys in that movie in something else. But we should both use them.
Oh, God.
Can you put him in a hat? Yeah, I can put him in a hat. Anyways. Okay, so here we learn, the whole journey, it seems, at least for the guy, was the Pacific coast. Now, here's the fascinating about it. Here's the other Lawrence of Arabia thing I was intimating, where, again, it's a little bit like kind of like the guy in the desert, and it's kind of a man in a desert, in a modern-day desert, going to water, seeking water in the desert almost. I kind of like that.
Yeah, totally.
Admittedly, though, he does get a little too excited for it.
I kind of read it, like, I definitely see the desert thing you're going for. I also read his reaction as more kind of like giving in to sort of like the, I don't know, like a childlike sense of innocence, and her being kind of like the more world-weary traveler who, can't really stay with his kind of like head in the clouds optimism. I don't know. Did you read any of that?
I mean, I can kind of wrap my head around the read of like perhaps I would read more as like she kind of taught him to lighten up, and maybe they've kind of swapped positions at the end a little bit where he's just going head first like she was.
I could see that.
That's kind of where I'd go with it. And also, now here's something I like though in the reveals. Initially, I was watching this version thinking, man, he was so protective about that guitar, and look at him just carelessly dragging it, and like hitting.
Right.
Again, this is kind of building to the a reveal of like, man, there must not be something super fragile in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is gonna make someone.
Of course, for practicality reasons, I'm sure that guitar case was totally empty when they were filming it.
Well, yeah, even if there was anything, it'd be like toilet paper in a book. So
right.
Yeah. So even if it is everything that's in there, it's not going to be heavy.
So my read on the symbolism of what's in the guitar case is that it's literally his life.
Yeah, the vibe I got is that he is a guy who is living on the road. That maybe something's happened, maybe there's been a setback. I don't know, but he's he has like necessities, but also he's kind of a square. I think the bigger thing is I think it's a comment on the '60s where the guy's a square and she's like more the free spirit, and she's surprised by this and she doesn't judge him harshly, but she
okay. Where do you get square from? I'm sorry, you're gonna have to explain that one.
Well, it's just the fact, I don't know. I get square from like all the items inside, or like it's a science fiction book. There's kind of regular socks. There's like not meta. Isn't Metamucil like the laxative thing? Milk and magnesia. That's what I'm thinking. Milk and magnesia. It's like very kind of milk toasty things.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's the thing, and also toilet. Well, that's the thing. The fact, I don't know, fundamentally, I know toilet paper is actually the useful thing to bring, but I think then it was kind of looked at as like, oh man, this guy really wants to have like necessities versus kind of winging it on the fly. Like she,
right.
Thing, kind of like she's not like he's not a full on hippie. Like again, she's like he's been kind of being slowly but indoctrinated to it. Basically, she sees him as like a newbie, I guess.
So that's an interesting read because, like I said, my read on it was literally just like his whole life's in the case, but yeah, that's an interesting.
Like a tie. There's the other thing that scores. Yeah, like shoes and the tie and everything.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's like it's almost like
it is vague though, so I don't know full on. I'm just my read on it. So
The toilet paper.
Yeah. So yeah, so basically it's the idea that, again, the harsh kind of like thing ultimately is that, she's like, okay, well, it's nice for him, but yeah, I won't, I don't accept that, so I'm going to move on.
Right.
Yeah, not for me. I'm leaving. Initially, when I
Are you
watched it the first
the
time,
idea for not saying goodbye?
well, consider they don't say anything else to each other. I guess that's fine.
No, I mean that's fair, but I'm saying like there's no real final acknowledgement.
I think it's appropriate. I think it's,
I
again,
do
that's kind
too.
of, that's her just kind of like turning her back on him, and kind of like, again, it's her like kind of looking at the world a little bit more like, and yeah, that's how it goes. We don't, we had fun, we had our fling, and again, it's kind of like the mentality of the '70s, kind of encroaching on the '60s. Again, kind of Spielberg's forward thinking of how the human relationship is not as not as nuclear as we all thought it might be.
Mhm.
Again, it's basically the transition away from the '50s to the '60s, and then on and so on and everything.
All right, and we're just about wrapped up. Dragon, final thoughts?
You know what's funny? Originally, I thought like she was going to steal all his stuff, but she didn't. Thankfully, because like, wait a minute, I don't know. She may or may not have taken his shoes, but I think those are actually her shoes. So
I think those were her shoes.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Yeah. So, and final thoughts again. It's it's short, it's sweet. Again, has fantastic visuals. Not again, story content. There's only so much you can do there, but it's a fact that like Spielberg's doing as much as he possibly can with very little limitations at his disposal here. And I think it landed him a job that landed us Jaws and everything else that came. So obviously it worked. So yay, Spielberg.
All right, yeah, I was really impressed by this, and like I said, I think because I feel like I'm a little bit more marinated in the 1960s counterculture than you were. I feel like I probably got a little bit more out of this artistically. But yeah, I very much love the coming of age messages here. And like I said, Dragon, there's not a ton of wow moments in this movie, but the ones that are there very much are kind of like textbook examples of like the types of shots that any film professor would be happy to show in a film class. It's just like there's a lot of technical craft going on at play. It might not be consistent throughout the whole movie, but then again, I do want to see the HD version, and maybe it is just like kind of beautiful throughout. So yeah, very very interesting product of its time for sure. Highly recommend giving it a watch. Dragon, would you like to kind of do a quick reflection on the 4 films we watched this month?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So West Side Story, I really like it a lot. I don't know. Honestly, watching it again, I do kind of feel its length a little bit, and there are some plot issues, but overall, I think I stand by the fact that it's easily one of the strongest films Spielberg's done in the past like 20 plus years.
Yeah, I was surprised. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. I was expecting like, okay, and we remade a classic and we just put Spielberg's name on it, and like, who knows how much we can really reinvent the wheel on it. Maybe it'll look prettier, but no, there's more content to it. It was he had some really good performances, mainly from from our gang leaders. But yeah, it was good.
All right. Meanwhile, Dragon, on the other end of the spectrum, The Post.
Yeah, Post was I remember just
It was the one that we've been dreading this whole time, man.
I mean, honestly, I remember just kind of going through it once, like, yeah, okay, this is okay. Maybe it'll hold up better on the rewatch, and it did not.
It did not. No.
God,
Dragon, are you a fan of Meryl Streep just schmoozing people?
Gets old fast, friend. Yeah.
Yeah, easily, probably. I would say The Post is fair to say probably like one of our collective least favorites in the catalog.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's like one of those few exceptions of it is like an example of like maybe a boring is not best. Maybe it was not good.
All right, and then a film that's anything but boring, The Color Purple, man. I don't think you loved it. Like, I know you love it, but I don't think it touched you like quite as much as it did me. Because I am, like, for me, still thinking about it, Dragon, it's still like a solid number 4 for me. Like, I think it's easily his best drama. I think the only 3 that are above it are kind of like the big 3 of Close Encounter, or not Close Encounters, but E.T., Jurassic Park, Jaws. But I don't know. Color Purple really blew me away. Just an epic story. incredible performances, just everything about it. Just it really knocked my socks off.
Yeah, I mean, look, I really did like The Color Purple. I'm just saying, like, like I think the Oprah segments kind of stole the movie, and obviously, we build to kind of our. I mean, the arcs are really great in that film. I don't know. The only gripe I have with The Color Purple are just like we're spending a little bit of time of like, hey, what's Nettie been up to?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's the only gripe I really have with it. Otherwise, it's good. But you got to remember, Spielberg is the man who made like E.T. and Jaws and Indiana Jones. I don't know if I put in the top three like without really going through all the films.
Well, I mean, you literally just listed two of the three that I have above it. So, anyways, so Amblin, we already kind of said our piece. Very, very interesting, kind of experimental short film. I feel like it's both very freewheeling and also kind of like shows Spielberg's craft as a filmmaker. Right. So, Dragon, I'm sure that next year won't be like the final Spielberg month of all time because there's going to be new stuff coming out. But, and, we can always dip into like if we ever feel like reviving it with like, films that he's produced or what have you, or the animated stuff. But next year is going to be the end of the road for the, for the collective Spielberg catalog. I believe we have 1940. I'm sorry, is it 41 or 42? Do you know?
Yeah, it's 41.
41. Thank you. 1941, which that's the real dark horse, man. I mean, that's going to be a trip.
That's the one that Spielberg is. That's what he
wants
to be his worst film.
Of course, we have Jaws, or not Jaws. Duel, Sugarland Express.
Jaws on land, Tiki. Jaws with the wheels.
I know. Duel, Sugarland Express, and then also the Fablemans. So that should be an interesting kind of like, because the Fablemans is kind of like Spielberg's, it'll be his latest movie, but it'll also be the movie that directly tackles his origins. So that'll be a nice one to end off on, perhaps.
Honestly, the one I'm looking forward to most is Duel.
Oh, of course. Duel we've been building to for a long time.
Probably since the beginning, because we probably covered Jaws first, in which Duel came into the fray. So, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, stay tuned until next time as we tackle another subject in the grim, gritty, wondrous, and whimsical world of Steven Spielberg on yet another thrilling installment of Spielberg Month.
Enough with the olives.
No guitar out the car.